And now there is another story that we want to talk about. It has to do with Donald Trump earlier this week, with the help of his daughter Ivanka, announcing a proposed paid maternity leave plan for American workers. Mainstream media picked apart the plan, and a woman's magazine even chose to attack Ivanka in an interview when months earlier that same publication gave basically a softball interview to Hillary Clinton's daughter, Chelsea. To address the issue of such a big difference in the way these candidates are covered in women's media, let's welcome in investigative reporter for Campus Reform, Amber Athey, who joins us from Newsmax Washington. So, Amber, you've been taking a look at this. Just how real is the difference in the way the mainstream media covers somebody named Trump as opposed to somebody named Clinton?
It's a marked difference, and what we're seeing is that magazines like Cosmo, they tell women how to dress, they tell us what to eat, they tell us who to hang out with, and they're even telling us who to vote for. I think it's insulting that they don't let women come to their own conclusions on these candidates. Why wouldn't we let Ivanka tell us about Trump's plan and then let women decide for themselves? It's frankly insulting and belittling that Cosmo thinks they need to spoon-feed us candidates.
Amber, can you give us some examples of what went on during that Cosmo interview that was disturbing or kind of illustrates the point of that double standard that you were talking about?
Sure. So Ivanka was there to talk about Trump's new maternity leave plan, which guarantees new mothers with 6 weeks of paid leave. But the Cosmo interviewer decided to ask her whether or not the plan would cover gay couples, and then decided to ask about comments that Trump made 12 years ago about women. Comparatively, when they interviewed Chelsea Clinton, they asked her if she could recall any fun times on the campaign trail, or if her family would be moving into the White House if Hillary Clinton were elected into office. So there's a complete double standard with the way that conservative women are treated in the media versus the way they treat liberal women.
Yeah, Amber, I read this story as well, and you know, when you look at the headline, it kind of comes across like she just stormed out of the interview, when in all actuality, that's not necessarily what happened. They asked a question to Ivanka about a comment that supposedly her father had made several years ago. She said, you know, you say my father said that, but I don't know for sure if he said that. I think that's fair, is it not?
I agree. I think it was completely fair. This is a fashion magazine that talks about clothing and hairstyles, and Ivanka probably thought she was going in to talk about this policy, which is a pro-women policy, and instead she ended up being grilled about comments her father may or may not have made a decade ago. So it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's insulting that, you know, women are treated this way by the media as if they're not intelligent enough to figure out for themselves what they should think about Trump's comments about women. Women can make that decision for themselves, and they don't need a magazine to tell them.
1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629, the number to call if you'd like to address this issue. And these different issues of different women's magazines. Look, I understand, despite the changing role of women, there's always kind of been a place for fashion commentary. But even when it came to that, at the conventions, you had a situation where they were all over Melania Trump for wearing a white dress, and very indulgent of Hillary Clinton showing up in her favorite style, a pantsuit that likewise was white. I mean, what is the deal here with, well, I understand naturally there's a concentration on fashion, but wow.
But Melania, she was a model. I mean, you can't even compare that, and let's, I mean, it's completely unfair. And I mean, when you look at some of the outfits that Hillary's been wearing, I mean, I know that's what you're trying to say. JD's trying to hold back here. He's trying to be PC about it, but.
Well, no, I'm just kind of curious. Take me through exactly some of those comments, Amber. How different were they? And somehow I don't believe these women's magazines were exactly catty toward Mrs. Clinton, were they?
No, they said that her outfit looked presidential, but somehow Melania's was channeling racism among white people and white nationalism. And this is a classic example of the double standard we were just talking about. At the Leadership Institute's Campus Reform, we've seen that this is a trend that starts on college campuses. Cosmo in the past actually endorsed 10 Democrats out of 10 races, and then chartered a party bus to get women to go vote, college-aged women, I might add. There were snacks and models on the bus encouraging them to go vote. I imagine they were probably encouraging them to vote for Democrats.
You think
And
maybe,
also,
Amber? Yeah, I would say so. I can remember too, Amber, when I was still in Congress, Rolling Stone magazine working overtime in the midterm of 2006 to get some conservatives retired, and sadly, in my case, it worked out. Amber Athey of Campus Reform, thanks for being with us from Newsmax Washington this afternoon. We look forward to having you back. And we've got more of your phone calls now at 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Back to my old Arizona stomping grounds, Miranda, Buckeye, Arizona, for the redoubtable Rick, one of our dependent viewers. Hiya, Rick.
Hey, JD, how are you doing today?
Doing great, thanks. What's on your mind?
Well, I'll tell you this thing with Ford. I'm really upset about this, JD. You know, Trump's been preaching and you know, trying to bring the American jobs and let's make America great again. And to me, this was just a slap from Ford and Donald Trump's face. I don't know how you feel about it, but it just felt it was very distasteful.
Well, Rick, great minds think alike, and thanks for the call. I think, Miranda, what we saw there, Donald Trump's been warning us that Ford was going to do this. Ford makes the announcement, I guess, to get it done before Trump becomes president. Trump looks like the economic prophet.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a businessman. And, you know, I kind of going back to what the caller said before. I mean, I think some of the issues that Trump's raised are, do you blame Ford or do you blame the system and politics? Is it putting Ford in a position to where they have to move out?
Well, the political implication is Donald Trump looks like a prophet, P-R-O-P-H-E-T, because Ford is running south of the border trying to maximize its profits, P-R-O-F-I-T. I'm not here to give you fits, but when we come back, historian Dr. Kevin Gutzman joins us to talk about the father of the Constitution and more as America Talks Live continues.